Hi, I'm Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Today, join us in McAllen, Texas. We're actually right now out at the bird watching area of the McAllen Nature Center. And we want to start off taking a little bit of a hike around here and show you some of the things of interest around the area.
Come along.
Now we are in McAllen, Texas. We're going to be in South Texas going into the winter months here. And McAllen is one of the first major towns that we've come to down here.
Yeah.
And every now and then you'll see one of the planes fly over. We are near their airport, but today we're at the Nature Center. The only misgiving with this place that I'll tell you right up front, if you're going to go, I would call and ask what their hours are, because the sign at the park, Google, and their website, all three had different hours on them, and none of them were actually right. So it is free of charge. When you first go in, you have this beautiful cactus garden, and the stonework and everything around it.
It was really nice, yeah.
Very nicely done. And they had crews there working the whole time. From what we were told, this had started to get kind of overgrown and not real easy to get around and see everything.
Yeah.
And they've been in here working for a little over the last year and getting everything cleaned up and back in top-notch shape. And they're doing a beautiful job.
Didn't it used to be a botanical garden?
Yeah, it used to be known as McAllen Botanical Garden, but the name was changed to Nature Center because so many people were using it as a birding site. Look at the size of that tree.
Yeah.
Right behind the cactus garden there's a great little picnic area. This part is undergoing renovations. It to us looked like it was going to be just a lookout point, a vantage point.
Yeah.
There are bird houses around that area, especially that's recreational area and picnic area right here in the front. And these are the trails. There's 1.6 miles of trails. They are all pretty easy to get around. They classify 3/4 of a mile of the trails as ADA accessible. There's a bird's nest that was laying there by the edge. But all the trails that we saw pretty much looked like that. They were all very easy to get around. And everything was extremely well marked.
Yeah.
So the cactus trail is kind of the main loop, but we just took off on the thornbush trail. That is a piece of cactus.
It almost looked like a fish to me, a long, skinny fish.
I don't know if some of the animals have gotten into some of the cactus for water. I'm not sure what it is, but you would see pieces of it drug around every now and then. And there were signs that there were some native creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to watch where you're walking.
Yeah. And you could see as thick as what that brush is in through there. You don't have a choice but to stay on the trails.
Yeah, and it's a great natural habitat.
Mm-hmm. Some of it, the thornbush area is definitely more trees. Some of them are very thorny, but they do have these type of signs as you go through. Different creatures you may see. They'll also have one coming up later on birds and on plants, and very nicely done park. Some of the areas, instead of being so much of that thorny underbrush, will be more cactus. Yeah. The cactus do kind of look like they got hit hard in the freeze a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think so.
But they're coming back.
Yeah. We saw some blooms. I like this thing.
Yeah, this was neat.
I hope they don't cut that down. They had been trimming back a lot of the trees and stuff.
One of the fellows that works there was saying some of the trails you had to kind of crab walk through sideways to get through, and they're getting it back to where the trails are open now. Now this is the bird blind. This is a great little bird watching area. I can't say we saw an awful lot there, but we heard them.
Oh yeah, and we were seeing them all over the park though. It's interesting, the types of birds down here.
Yeah, the state bird we found out is the mockingbird, and that was one that was on their sign there.
Yeah.
Now, all of the irrigation pipes have been painted in this area of McAllen as a beautification
Project.
And there was one there, the one you saw on our thumbnail was one.
There was one across the street as we were leaving.
These little cactus are all over the place, but that is a bunny running around in there.
There he goes.
He was moving so fast.
And he was so little.
He was hard to get in the picture there. But they've got several different kinds of cactus as you go. There's aloe back there behind it. There was a couple of nice stands of aloe vera.
And then there were palms. And there were a lot of the native flowering plants mixed in around it too.
There were a lot of, the chasing little lizard there. There's a lot of those too. You'd hear something stirring off in the brush that you'd think was large, and it was just one of those little lizards.
There's the century plants. They're so cool.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of the flowering plants. I don't know if it's lantana, something I've seen in Florida that was an attractor of butterflies. And they had this area called the Butterfly Garden. This area had gotten very overgrown. It's just been trimmed back. So we're going to walk you through this little loop here. But the plants that attract the butterflies weren't here. But they were still scattered throughout the park.
Yes, they were.
They had a way for the butterflies to stay in their habitat there without losing this. But a lot of butterflies throughout the park. And I'm sure when this is back in the spring and back in full bloom,
oh yeah, it should be beautiful.
It'll be covered with butterflies.
This was such a peaceful walk.
And like I said, if you take every trail that's there, it's 1.6 mile. It's not huge, but you can feel like you've conquered it and you've seen everything they have to offer.
There's a nice breeze that day.
There are just some of the different butterflies that you can see there. And I like that they showed them as caterpillar and cocoon too. So depending when you were there. Now, please leave it in the comments below if you know what these are. But there were several of these full of those buds and full of these blooms. And they were
so pretty.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And considering it's almost the 1st of November when we're shooting this, to see something blooming like that was really neat. And there's areas when you can look across, there's evidently a wetter land beside the park, because this definitely looked like there was water down in that area.
Yeah.
But beautiful plants and
little tiny flowers everywhere.
very nicely taken care of. We saw a bird up here, and he's sitting right now on the top of one of these trees. He's going to fly towards us here in a second. But his underbelly is bright yellow. He's beautiful. So we're going to leave you with the bird. As it says goodbye to us, it'll fly across the screen here. We'll say goodbye to you. And hope you've enjoyed our day out at this park as much as we did. There he goes. So Cathy, what did you think about our stroll around the McAllen Nature Center?
It was very pleasant. It was a little limited. I think it's the time of year, and it's a cactus garden mostly, so when they had that freeze a couple of years ago, it kind of did some damage, but it's still very pleasant and easy to walk.
And I imagine we're just coming off of a long, hot, dry summer in this particular area. That hasn't been a friend to it either. But there's crews out there working all the time, making sure the paths are clear and everything is accessible, and really doing a nice job of bringing this park back to life.
That's right.
So with that, if you enjoyed the video today, leave us a thumbs up. We sure appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll be located up in this corner of the screen when we go off. And be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when every one of our videos come out.
And thank you for following us as we follow the